YouTube, welcome. I'm assuming because you're watching this video, you have now discovered that you are dealing with or have dealt with someone who is known as a narcissist. The word narcissist or narcissism is thrown around in our society so much that a lot of people really have no clue as to what it is. I was convicted to make this video, not knowing who to reach or who it could help. So never intended to make my channel about this, but here I am. A lot of people don't understand that narcissism is a disorder. If you've been reading and you've read all the articles, you watched all the videos, you know, the classic tale of someone who was neglected or abandoned in their childhood. So after reading all the articles and watching all the videos, even though a lot of people are aware of who they are now dating or have dated, some of us have tried to convince ourselves that it's not possible. No, not my person. We try to trick our mind because we can't handle the shock to our body and our mind and our soul that people like a narcissist really, truly exist. Unfortunately, do. As many of you have, I have dated one. It can break you down if you allow it to. It's hard to comprehend that someone tells you that they love you and they have absolutely no care for you. It's hard to think that you have developed some connection with someone when you really haven't. It's hard to know that who you're dating or were dating doesn't really exist. And I found that to be the most helpful for me, is to not analyze and just overthink about it so much, about anything that was said, anything that was done. You just have to remind yourself that the person that you do love or loved is a ghost. They don't really exist. They don't exist. So when you put it in that perspective, then it becomes a lot easier for you to deal with. Although you physically dealt with this person, that person that they presented you doesn't really exist. Again, I say that a lot of us know after finding out. I actually was explaining my situation to a good friend of mine at one time, and they basically told me that I probably was dealing with someone such as a narcissist. So I began reading, researching, doing everything I can to find out if what the person was doing or saying matched up. And I try to trick myself out of thinking that it was true, because all the signs and symptoms don't match up with every person. Everybody has their own thing. Although most of them are, for the most part, what you'll see out of most narcissists. Now remember, there are different types of narcissists, but for the most part, you can pretty much tell when you're involved with a narcissist. I myself, when I was dealing with it, I noticed that I was calling things out even before I believed it in my mind. There's a classic, they have no empathy. I would say, damn, you're not compassionate about anything. I say, it's all about you, isn't it? They lie a lot. They'll tell you they lied to you, some of them, because they didn't want to hurt you. Sounds honorable, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. They lie so much that you question even their real name. That's how much they lie. Mine didn't start out as a typical phase of love bombing. I was just being told that basically they loved my energy, and that's what kept them coming back, which is a very dangerous thing. Because if you do have good energy that they know they can suck from you, that's what they love. That's what they feed off of. And they'll feed off of it until you unfortunately have no more good energy to give them. They are what is known as energy vampires. They feel empty inside themselves, so they have to take on other people's energy to feel whole, even though they actually never do. The classic signs that I notice outside of the typical stuff, well, I won't say outside of. Again, I really didn't go through the love bombing phase. It was kind of like, hey, I like your energy. Hey, I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you. So in a little way, it was a little different than most people's first phase of love bombing. It was my energy. But things I do notice that I called out, again, like the lack of empathy. There's no compassion with them. Tell them they didn't care about anybody but themselves. Called on to the lies. When called out on those lies, they got very defensive. Very sensitive people, will call you mean when you speak up for yourself or tell them how it is. So I know, even though I was involved in one, I couldn't have been the easiest. I had my times where they felt like they had control over me, but me being who I am, even though I'm an empathetic person, I was well aware of when there was empty apologies, when there were lies being told. I even told them that they put on a facade for social media and that what they portray online is not really who they are. And I'm saying this not only to show you signs and ways to recognize these people. It's just like, I literally was saying this while I was involved with one, but I stayed engulfed in it. However, I do understand now that being involved with one was a lesson for me. It wasn't a punishment. It was a lesson, though. As they say, if you don't learn your lesson, you will always get the same lesson. And that's typically within dealing with people. So the greatest lesson of my life, instead of looking at it as a tragedy or being in disbelief over it all, I choose to look at it as, okay, I've now learned that I always will trust my gut, my intuition, which is very strong. If something is off, that means it's off. I've learned that I will not put up with someone who lies, who makes you feel like you're crazy when you bring to their attention anything that they're doing that's wrong. So when you start to look at it in that perspective, it can be a lot easier on your journey to healing. It may be harder for other people. For some people, you just pick yourself right back up. I'll be doing more videos. The situation is still ongoing because they do feel like you belong to them. They love to see if you're still broken down after they're no longer in your life. It's just typical things, but you will hear more from me. Again, I just felt compelled to do this video because I too have learned that I was dealing with a narcissist. So until next time, keep your head up. Continue to heal. If you are still dealing with one, don't convince yourself that you're not. Have a great day.